All right, welcome to third video, second review, final thing of the evening. The real face of a VTuber. A narrative courtroom adventure all about VTubers. Players will take the role of prosecutor Justin Truth. And by the way, all these names are like this.
God damn it.
Like,
In fairness,
seriously.
VTuber names are very much like Ace Attorney names to start with.
But then that's not the name of the VTubers. That's the name of the people.
I know I'm saying it's like a combination VTuber and Ace Attorney thing.
Right. I'm just like, it's all ridiculous. Like, anyway, your job is to investigate a murder at a VTuber agency, doing the best to uncover the identity of both the killer and the VTuber's real face. Now, because this is not a spoiler, the real face and the killer are one and the same. But there are complications on the way to discovering that. This game is visual novel-esque. I say that because, honestly, I think this game has way too much actual gameplay to qualify as an actual visual novel. And you may draw parallels to the Ace Attorney series, but that's actually kind of superficial. Like, there's a lot of law, there's a lot of courtroom settings here. Oddly enough, the procedurals in this game are much more off of the American legal system than what Ace Attorney had.
Which I guess should be noted because this is not an American development house, from what we can tell.
Yeah, but it plays out much more like an American courtroom scene, with like cross examinations and shit like that. I don't know how they do it in Japanese court. But, like, I could actually believe that this place was America.
Americistan. Wait, no, hold on.
You know, because, some of the gameplay elements are, you have to ask neutral questions in court. As opposed to, if you ask a leading question in your questioning, you'll get an objection. Like, that's how it actually works in court here versus Ace Attorney, which I know is a spoof off the Japanese justice system, but also gameplay wise, that was more the suspect is lying about something. You've got to find that and make them break down. That's not the point of this specifically. And it's got the concept of hostile witnesses. What that actually means is you can ask directed questions at a hostile witness versus a neutral witness. And it's also got the concept of an expert witness. As in somebody who can deliver expert testimony in their field as opinion and have it be admissible in court. It's really weird to see this in this kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Because look at it. Look at fucking Detective Zelda Haas. I just can't with these names.
Yeah.
I'm like, and it's a lot more non-linear than an Ace Attorney game is. Outside of certain scenarios, non-standard game overs. But, like your average courtroom episode in an Ace Attorney game, like there's a win state and there's a fail state. Here, like you're actually trying to find the actual killer, which like they kind of mix the job of the prosecutor and the lead investigator. I will grant that is something that Ace Attorney did as well, and I don't like it in either case. Like this isn't a minor distinction. Like this is an actual separate job. But the point is, like, you got 6 girls here. One of them killed the boss. It's your job to find and send that girl to prison for murder. But like one of the first complications that arise is also there's a lot of VTuber culture stuff here. Thankfully, it is digestible by people who aren't into the scene. Like, they will explain what the actual term "a real face" of a YouTuber, the person behind the construct, is in game, because just in truth, he's not a VTuber connoisseur, which is actually a bit of a relief, because we did not need an otaku prosecutor on top of everything else.
I guess from like a legal perspective, that's probably what you would want. You wouldn't want somebody who's a fan being involved with looking for their, murderer.
Yeah. Like, and apparently this thing will reference, like, some popular VTuber memes. Like, don't ask me anything about that. That's really more Max scene. But, like, the VTuber in question is, like, Kuripa? Like, the thing is, she's a computer virus, so she kind of leans into that. But, like, doing a literal catch me if you can gimmick. Usually you do not want to catch the computer virus. They are very bad for your system. But, putting that aside, this isn't a game, visual novel, what have you, where you find the evidence, you present it in court, and you will have the killer. No, you can actually get it wrong. Which actually puts that part much more close to the visual novel side of things. As you will be putting on one of the false paths. There's a lot of false paths, and then there's the truth path. Which in this case is, you found the real killer. And there's a lot of steps that you have to do that. They get more and more elaborate as you go through the game. Like chapter 1 is really all the tutorial stuff. Chapter 2 is like when you actually have to match up the evidence in court, pick the right person, find the contradicting statements, and there's a lot of evidence to sift through. It really piles on.
Is it all just one case, or are there different cases per chapter?
It's that's another difference here between Ace Attorney. It's just the one case.
Mm-hmm.
You're working through that the entire thing. But like the case and the VTuber culture will like the VTuber will do unannounced streams at points. And you will have to dig through social media in order to build your case.
Oh man.
Like I said, this is really unlike any other visual novel thing I have ever played. I mean that in a good way.
Right.
Like, you know, it's not an Ace Attorney clone. Not that that would have been a bad thing, but it's like it takes the idea and actually shapes it into like an actual courtroom drama. With like the actual courtroom mechanics. You know, yeah, okay, they may not match up one-to-one with real life, but they have a sense of reality that I never got from the Ace Attorney. Once again, I understand Ace Attorney is supposed to be a parody commentary on the Japanese law system. You know, that's why the whole 3 days to complete your case is a thing in that series, because that's a commentary on 99% of cases presented in court in Japan are successful for the prosecution. You know, which is an obvious conversational problem for that society, but it's not something that ever clicked with me because, you know, that is a legal system that I am unfamiliar with. And I'll be honest, not my problem.
Yeah.
So it's kind of why I've always had a disconnect with the Ace Attorney series. You know, it didn't help that because the localizers did a stupid thing in the first Ace Attorney game, in, you know, changing the location from Tokyo to Los Angeles. That means that, you know, the English version of Ace Attorney is supposed to take place in California, and it never on any level looked like an American courtroom experience. And, you know, once again, I get that it's supposed to be a parody, all that stuff, but there was just, you know, it never matched up in the verisimilitude. And I knew this. It's like, no, this doesn't look like an American court at all, whereas this does. And that matters. You know, maybe not on a conscious level, but on an unconscious level. That is to say, I enjoyed this game's courtroom mechanics much more than any Ace Attorney games. That being said, I will absolutely say that the Ace Attorney games are much superior products. I mean, that's just, you know, Ace Attorney has better writing. You know, it's like, don't feel bad about it. I'm not saying that this game's got bad writing. It's just, you know, Ace Attorney's kind of the masterclass in terms of like visual novel adjacent games. You know, so being outclassed by the best is no big thing. Like on its own, this game is very much worth getting into. Now, it's like, you know, depending on how intimidated you are, because unlike a lot of visual novels and you know, such things, you will probably fuck things up the first time around. Like, not getting around it. Because it's not just that that there are multiple people to choose. It's that the game doesn't make it blindingly fucking obvious.
Yeah. It doesn't say, hey, no, dumbass, over here.
Yeah. No. Like, you've actually got to sift through evidence. You've got to look at your logs. Oh, dear God. Because there's a ton of evidence here. You've actually got to do some of the work. That means this game, you know, isn't using the courtroom stuff as kind of a jumping off point, to tell a character piece or something like that. No, it actually cares about the courtroom stuff as well. So credit to them for that. Like, all in all, like, it's been a long time since I've played a visual novel game this good. Not my top game for the year, but probably in the top 10, maybe top 5. I don't say that lightly. And as a bonus, this game clocks in at a very svelte $11.99. Probably a reflective of its overall production values. While it's got gameplay in spades, you may be able to tell that its art is all right.
We've
maybe a bit on
definitely
the generic
reviewed worse looking, but we've also reviewed better looking that cost more.
Yeah, I'm like, I can absolutely see, and there's no voice acting, there's no CG, like, there's CG stills, but there's like no fully animated cutscene with music. So, this isn't one of those visual novel things that clock in at $35, $40 because it had actual voice actors and Japanese talent and all that stuff in it. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying, you can see why this game is only clocking in at $12. But it's well worth the price. I do think it could have gone as far as 20 and gotten away with things. So, yeah, about as high a recommendation as I can give. Anything else from you guys?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, then. So, yeah, that'll about do it for this review session. Hopefully, Galax gets well sooner rather than later, but it's one of those things where we'll have to keep an eye on the situation. Anyway, so coming up on the week ahead, on Wednesday, March 11th, so hole in the schedule time. So that means another installment of conversational footage. And we are going back to the Game Player's Game Tape well. This
we only
time
have
we'll be
like 2
looking
or 3 of those left, don't we?
Oh, no, we still have quite a few of those.
Oh.
Quite a few themed ones at that.
Hmm.
Indeed. We will be looking at Volume 1, number 9, featuring The Power Glove.
Oh, no.
Indeed.
Does it have
Mike.
footage from the wizard?
Actually, no.
I was just about to say, you might want to bump it if we do, because that might get us copyright claimed.
No, it actually doesn't, thankfully.
You see why I asked.
Yeah. Though the trade-off there is we're probably going to eschew the news or the topic of discussion, because it's a 45-minute tape. And we only have the hour and a half to work with.
Right.
No. Because we do have a new episode of MSP, which is also going to be a footage episode. Look, sometimes people cancel out.
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah. I wish it didn't, but it does. Anyway, we do have we actually have a fully packed Friday on March 13th. Because in the morning, we'll be welcoming Mark Kale and John Twitty of System 3 to the program. Provided they get their scheduling straight. There seems to be a few issues in that direction, but if that goes through, well, we'll be talking about the Last Ninja collection we just recently reviewed and just hit the Nintendo Switch. And we also have a multiplayer mayhem session for that day, as we'll be looking at Semi. Side effects may include. So, until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.